Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Overcast today with a chance for scattered thunderstorms. High of 79, winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows dip down to about 67. Overcast skies. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 80. Cloudy skies expected. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Frombley. Currently, it's 66 degrees.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The switch is on. Welcome to Good Morning Georgetown with Rob and Ken. Waking you up in the mornings and getting your day started with the hottest hits, news, and jokes. Get ready. And now here's your hosts, Rob Hip and Ken Covington.
Good morning, Georgetown, Texas, and a happy St. Patrick's Day. There's been so much else, going on in the news that I think a lot of us forgot today was St. Patrick's Day, understandably so. In fact, Google normally has a graphic on their logo, and I thought that for sure today that they would have remembered St. Patrick's Day, but they didn't. There's no Google change of the logo this morning. Wanted to welcome everybody into Good Morning Georgetown. I'm Rob Hip, your host. Joshua Harris could not be here this morning, also Ken Covington, so I'm rolling solo just for about 40 minutes or so this morning. I did want to make sure that we still had a show and kind of go over what's going on around Georgetown. In fact, a press release is scheduled at 11 a.m. this morning at the steps of the courthouse. We'll be down there. Hip Radio Network will be down there getting information on exactly what that's going to be about. I think it's just going to be some announcements about some of the closings in the county. It's a county press conference, and so we'll be down there around 11 o'clock this morning, and we will relay that news to you. If you haven't already, please make sure to like us on Facebook at not just the Good Morning Georgetown page, but at Hip Radio Network. Just search for Hip Radio Network, and you'll be able to join us for all of the information. We've been sharing quite a bit, and I don't want to inundate folks with information, but there's a lot of information to get out there, and we want to make sure that we're doing our part to help deliver that news to you in a very ethical way also, and not trying to spread a bunch of rumors or things like that. I saw something on social media circulating a few days ago regarding the coronavirus, COVID-19, saying if you drink plenty of water, that will help wash the virus down through your throat and into your stomach, and the stomach acid will kill it. And, not being hateful, but I saw some people that are pretty reputable sharing that information, and I messaged a few folks and I said, hey, that's not true information. So just like anything, and I've done it before, I've shared stuff probably that, probably wasn't true, but I'm real cautious about that nowadays. And so please make sure if you are sharing things on social media that you fact check it first. Let's keep everybody, in the same ball here and not share a bunch of information that's misinformation. So no, drinking a lot of water is not going to kill the virus because it'll wash it into your stomach. There's also a thing that says if you can hold your breath breathe in and hold your breath for 10 seconds, that will, tell you if you have the virus or not. I mean, we got to be more aware than that, folks. So don't do that. There's also no, martial law or anything like that that's going on as well. And just quit passing that information, okay? Hey, good morning to everybody out there. Chris Courtney, one of our sponsors here on Hip Radio Network Georgetown, joining us, saying happy St. Patrick's Day. It is St. Patrick's Day, Chris. You reminded me of that. I forgot about it. I saw it last night, and, with everything closing down and limiting groups, we were called the county saying no more than 50 per group, and now we're being told by the president yesterday, no more than 10 per group. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit, folks. But anyways, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Appreciate you, Chris, saying stay safe, be kind to your fellow humans and neighbors. I couldn't agree more, Chris. Also, our friend Lee Ortiz of Climate Control Pros joining us this morning as well. Thank you, Lee, saying good morning as the world goes crazy. Stay strong in faith. I couldn't agree more with you on that. and then saying that he'll guest host on Friday. Why don't we have you on Friday, man? Let's go ahead and plan on that right now. So Lee Ortiz will be the guest host on Friday. He's one of our sponsors here on HRN as well, and so excited about that. Friends, I wanted to tell you, I know that there's a lot going on. For me, broadcasting is my livelihood, especially sports broadcasting, and with all that kind of being put to a halt, I'm not the only one that's going to be in a situation. There's a lot of folks in the service industry with them closing down restaurants and bars and things like that, and so let's be mindful this morning of those people especially. I'm not talking about myself, but those people especially in those industries that depend on the revenue that aren't able to have that right now. And there's going to be a lot of hardship. I mean, we've seen our stock market fluctuate. It's very volatile right now, and we have seen so much going on. In fact, just a few days ago, it's kind of one of those things where I really wish that I had about $10,000 to throw into the stock market because Norwegian Cruise Lines tanked. Not just because of the coronavirus. Well, really, it's all because of the coronavirus, but not specifically because of them not being able to operate their cruise lines. But the managers were sending out some false information to the upper levels, sending out messages to their managers saying, let the folks know on the ships that it's really not that bad, and they're more worried about sunscreen than they are the virus. And some of that caused some red flags with investors and things, and that stock market that stock price tumbled to around, I think, $9 a share or $9.50 a share, and it's going to rebound just like everything else. But this is if you've got investments. Look, I'm not giving you I'm not a financial expert, but I'm just telling you. My mom was worried because her entire retirement, of course, is locked up into stocks, and with the way the markets have been tumbling, a lot of folks are worried about all that. And, we're going to rebound. We're going to recover. We're going to be okay. I've got some pointers, though, this morning. Of course, the panic buying continues. As you know, the lines are just outrageous at these supermarkets right now. And, man, God bless the employees at H-E-B and other supermarkets, not just here locally, but across the United States and the globe for that matter. I told some folks this and posted it on my personal Facebook page as well, saying if you really want to help stop the panic, then don't spread the panic. And I'm saying that today, not out of knocking any of you guys that have done that, but don't do it. When people see on social media the shelves empty of food, what do you think that does to other people? Well, they're immediately going to panic and say, we need food, and they're going to go run to the grocery store. And don't post pictures of that stuff. I know that we live in an age to where I've refused to. I've been to the supermarkets, and I've seen it firsthand, and you guys that know me know that I'm on social media like crazy. But don't post that stuff, because all that you're doing is you are fanning the flames and continuing the spread of the fire. So don't do it, please. That'll help out so many people. Just quit sharing it, and it's going to make everything a little bit easier on all of us. I'll talk about this here in a minute, and then we're going to go over some news that I get from the New York Times. We'll read some of their articles. We're also going to talk about local news that's going on, and then I'll alleviate more to that press conference that's going to take place at the Williamson County Courthouse here in Georgetown around 11 a.m. this morning. But I'm gonna start with this and say, when all of this coronavirus stuff started, I thought, okay, it's just people are panicking. This is out of control. We don't need to worry about it. I was frustrated because in the sports world, that is my livelihood, as I talked about earlier, and that's why I talked about that. And I was frustrated because we depend, honestly, a lot. I mean, it's 99% of what drives us through the summer with my sports broadcasting company is this broadcasting sports. And at first, I was extremely frustrated with what was going on. I thought that maybe we were panicking too much, that things were out of control, and I just thought maybe there's a little bit of overreacting. But I'll tell you what, friends, I've stepped back and I've thought about it a lot, and I don't think definitely in my lifetime, there's never been a moment like this before where I have noticed that people are worried about this really bad. I mean, we've came together as a country, unfortunately, under tragedy. I hope that we're at a point now to where, despite the political divide in this country, that we can come together. I think for the most part I've seen that, despite whether you're on one side or the other or you're in the middle. I think this is the most important critical time that we need to really come together and really help each other out and get over that political divide. You know, I saw it in my lifetime with the unfortunate events of September the 11th, and hopefully we're going to see it again. And I hate that it has to take a tragedy or a national emergency to bring people together, but maybe that's what this country needs to do. It's not maybe, it's what we need to do. We need to come together and really be there for each other. In fact, this morning before the press conference at 11 a.m., John Montgomery and I, John owns Roberts Printing as well as the Georgetown Poker Club. We've been working on some ideas to really help the community. When I had Click for so many years, anytime that there was a situation, we wanted to get involved, not to promote our business, but to really give back. I think it's critical that if you're a business and you have a platform that engages with the community, and especially us here with media, we have a platform that we're able to engage with the community. And so coming up here around 9:30 or 10 a.m., John Montgomery and I will issue a video. We'll probably do it from Roberts Printing about what we're going to do to help out folks here in Georgetown. And if you'd like to be a part of that or get involved, make sure to follow that on my Facebook page. We'll have more information. We'll make that announcement about 9:30 or 10 this morning before the press release at the courthouse from the county. So we're going to provide an avenue and a way for you as citizens to get involved and to help out our community, especially the elderly. Look, we have a moral obligation in Georgetown, Texas, as the number one place to retire in America to help out the elderly population here in this community. And not just the elderly, but I'm talking folks that are retired. This whole virus situation is affecting that age group more than any other, and that's why the government is so big on saying, you know, I'm hearing all sorts of new terms now that I haven't heard before. Self-quarantine. That's why we are being told now to not be around groups 10 or more, because the younger population, according to everything that I've seen and most of you know, it doesn't affect us as bad as those that are older. And us being the number one community in America to retire, despite what you think of neighborhoods. I know that there's so much distancing that people, when you talk about certain neighborhoods in our community, some people get fired up about. I think that it's great. When I had my IT business, those neighborhoods brought us a lot of business. I've always respected how many folks get out and volunteer with those organizations and that the work that they do. And I think it's time for us to really just put all that aside, and we're going to make that announcement again around 9:30 or 10 a.m. this morning about how you can get involved right here in our community and what you can do. And so if you want to be part of that, just let me know and make sure to follow us. I'm going to go through some Facebook shout-outs this morning. By the way, Michael Price brought out a good message, just a statement. And in fact, as I was driving in, it popped up on my phone, and I did not want to read it, but there's some breaking news in the sports world. You know, right now, I haven't even turned on ESPN since all of this stuff started happening because, quite frankly, you know, if there's nothing going on, I don't like to just hear news about sports. I like to watch sports. But Tom Brady, this is breaking news this morning for those of you that follow football in the NFL. Tom Brady is now saying goodbye to the New England Patriots. 20-year run, an historical run, the only team that he has ever known. Tom Brady saying goodbye. We'll play some of this clip here from ESPN real quick.
Will be leaving the New England Patriots. He will be playing his career elsewhere. This is not about where he will be playing. He has not decided that yet, but he will be playing his career elsewhere. He is leaving the New England Patriots. Tom Brady now making that announcement across social media platforms right now, saying to all my teammates, coaches, executives, and staff, Coach Belichick, Robert Kraft and the Kraft family and the entire organization, I want to say thank you for the past 20 years of my life and the daily commitment to winning and creating a winning culture built on great values. He does go on to say that I have benefited from all of you and all that you have given me. I have cherished every opportunity I have had to be part of our team, and I love you for all of that. Our team has always set a great standard in pro sports, and I know it will continue to do just that. Here's the key words here. Although my football journey will take place elsewhere, I appreciate everything that we have achieved and am grateful for our incredible team accomplishments.
Again, that was from ESPN this morning. Jeff Darlington reporting on that news, but Tom Brady's the one that made it evident on his Instagram page. Again, Tom Brady saying goodbye to the New England Patriots after 20 years with that team. Brady alluding to that he's still going to play football. I mean, this is the Iron Man, and he did not say which team that he was going to sign for yet in 2020. He did indicate, though, of course, that he was leaving. He officially hits the league's open market Wednesday. Could reach another agreement with another team, though, on Tuesday when the players and clubs can start to negotiate deals. Of course, that's going to be huge news in the sports world. Someone that has been around for so long and accomplished so much under Coach Belichick and more. So that is the breaking news this morning outside of the coronavirus. And Michael Price, thank you for sharing that with us as well. Wanted to make that known. We'll go over some articles this morning from the morning briefing out of the New York Times. We'll talk about that and what's going on in the world. We will also talk about local news and more. For now, though, we'll step aside. We will take a quick break and return here in 30 seconds. This is Good Morning Georgetown on the Hip Radio Network.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Overcast today with a chance for scattered thunderstorms. High of 79, winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows dip down to about 67. Overcast skies. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 80. Cloudy skies expected. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 66 degrees.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
Well, good morning, Georgetown. I hope you are off to a wonderful start this morning. Thanks to those of you already joining us on the Facebook live stream this morning, as well as the Hip Radio Network app. Reminding you this morning you can download that app. Please do it because we play a variety of music from country, pop, and classic rock. We're adding a little bit more classic rock. Courtney Home Inspections, my buddy Chris Courtney, telling me, he goes, man, I love sponsoring, but you need to play some more classic rock music. And so we've had some feedback on that. It is the second most listened to genre in this area, and so we're gonna go ahead and bless you guys with that as we go forward as well. So, Chris, thanks for the heads up. We'll add some more classic rock, and we'll continue to blend it together. We put out a survey. I've talked about it on the show before. We put out a survey in the community, about 100 folks, and out of that 100 or so pool that we surveyed, 70% of them, so let's just say 70, basically said that we like the blend of music. We were looking at only doing the station as just a complete format of either country or pop or classic rock, and we decided, you know what, man? How many know that it takes a lot of ingredients to make a good cake? And so to make a good radio station, we're going to kind of step outside the box, and we're just going to blend it all together, and we're going to bake a good cake here on Hip Radio Network for your listening enjoyment and for the community of Georgetown. Hey, we were down at Market Days. That was an event in Georgetown that still took place on Saturday. Met about 150 friends or so, took some pictures with some wonderful folks in the community, and we're really working hard to continue to try to promote what we're doing here on Hip Radio Network Georgetown. So, again, download the app. If you've got an Apple or you got an iPhone, Android phone, just search for Hip Radio Network. Download our app. You'll be able to enjoy music and programming. And then, as I promised, we've been a little bit more static with our programming format here on HRN here in the month of March. And then in April, we're really going to have a very definitive static program about how we are operating the station as far as this morning show and all that kind of fun stuff. And so it's something that I think you're going to continue to enjoy. Last month, we had almost 600 unique listeners across the board. Those numbers have steadily grown, and we're going to continue to rock and roll here on KHGTDB. Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station. Well, as I promised, we came out of that break before the break, talked about we're going to dig into some national news. This from the New York Times. You probably already heard about a lot of this, but we're going to talk about it anyways. If you got any feedback, by the way, and you're on the Facebook live stream, feel free to send a comment. We'd love to hear from you this morning. If you're driving, of course, don't comment. And if you're driving, by the way, you really need to get the app, because here's the deal. If you're on your way to work or if you're driving home from work, you've got to leave Facebook open if we're having the show. With our app, you're always going to hear the music, and you're always going to be able to listen to the audio as well, where you don't have to worry about keeping stuff open like you do on your phone with Facebook. Well, President Trump advising new limits to slow the virus. Americans should stop unnecessary travel and avoid gathering in groups of more than 10, the president said on Monday, as he warned that the coronavirus outbreak could extend well into the summer. I was listening this morning, and he was talking about, he said, that this may be something that could linger on into July or August. There's still a lot of unknowns here, and, there is going to be some issues going forward, and how are people going to continue to work? And those are all questions that we don't have the answers to right now. But again, the president advising yesterday, no more than 10 people in groups. He warned the coronavirus outbreak again could extend into the summer of July or August. Guidelines are not mandatory. There's already been some things floating around on social media, even text messages this morning calling out a government. Basically, it's part of their statement of declaration when they're declaring emergencies. Someone has twisted and contorted that to say that it's basically can cause martial law or mandatory quarantine across the nation. That is not true. Guidelines, again, not mandatory. They fall short of measures taken by other countries, but they appeared to draw on a report by British researchers warning that without drastic action, 2.2 million people in the United States could die. And again, I'm not trying to scare folks, but that's just the numbers that are coming out. Other developments, residents of 7 counties in Northern California, they are under orders to shelter in place for 3 weeks, beginning today, as one of those areas in the San Francisco Bay Area now saying, hey, we've got to take it easy due to everything that's going on. Testing delays have set back the U.S. response, data suggesting that about 125 people per million have been tested. That is far fewer than other countries. President Trump telling governors that they shouldn't wait for the federal government to fill demand for respirators. Basically saying, try getting it yourselves, he said. The European Union, you know what? I think that is it's true. We're looking to the government for support and help and trying to help everybody get through this situation. But you know what? It's up to the states also to do things. And so the president telling the states, you know what? Go get it yourself. Go do it. Put your foot down and go do it. European Union expected today to approve a 30-day ban on non-essential travel into the bloc. President Emmanuel Macron has ordered residents of France to stay at home for the next 15 days. Again, this information coming from the New York Times this morning. First testing, that's that Texas coming out. The first testing in humans of an experimental vaccine has begun. Even if it's proved safe and effective, it will not be available for at least a year. The Kentucky Derby will not be held on the first Saturday in May for the first time since World War II. The horse race is expected to be postponed until September. As the virus has spread, of course, so is the misinformation. The National Security Council said that a text last weekend warning of a lockdown in the U.S. was false. I talked about that a little bit earlier. And the actors Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, they have been released from the hospital. They are going to self-quarantine at home. They have a house there in Australia. They will self-quarantine back at their home. And those are some of the issues that are going on as far as headlines across the nation. And just getting, what do we got here? Some more breaking news coming in this morning. Boy, there's a coach from Spain. I believe it was a soccer coach. A Spanish youth coach actually has passed away after it was revealed he had the coronavirus and a previously unknown diagnosis of leukemia. Sad news there this morning out of Spain. Francisco Garcia, the coach of a junior team, the Porta Alta, has an unknown pre-existing condition, later revealed to be a form of leukemia. It was only discovered when he was in the hospital receiving care after showing symptoms of the coronavirus. The 21-year-old coach passing away on Sunday, making him now the youngest person to have died from the coronavirus pandemic in Spain. So, see, and we're talking about misinformation. And friends, listen, I understand he had an underlying issue, and that's where what I was talking about earlier, it's either the elderly or those that have underlying health issues are the most susceptible to this. But this is what I'm getting at. Somebody was, again, spreading information on social media saying, "Oh, this isn't a big deal. Nobody so far over the age or under the age of 80 has passed away," and that started spreading like wildfire. Again, fact research, guys. What you're promoting and what you're posting. There's no reason to go through and keep doing all this. Well, the U.S. economy beginning to shut down as the pandemic curtails consumer activity. Business groups, local and state leaders, and a growing core of lawmakers and economists are urging the federal government to pay workers to stay home and to funnel money to struggling companies. Now here's the deal. I've had some folks reach out to me, and they're saying, "Well, Rob, everything's going to be okay. Even though you don't have work in broadcasting, you're going to have tax relief and all these things." For those, and again, it goes back to the service industry as well. Those people who are employees, while there may be some tax benefit, for folks like myself, if you're a freelance person, I don't see where there's going to be tax benefits. One, I don't pay into, employment taxes because I basically 1099 myself. And so those are some of the kind of things that, all this money is being set aside, but who is it really going to go to? And it needs to be able to benefit everyone. But the reality is that's not going to be possible. There's no way that they can financially benefit or financially help everyone. And so I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. The main trade group for airlines suggested a $50 billion bailout might be needed for carriers. President Trump's chief economist, Larry Kudlow, said on Monday that he did not expect the industry to need a rescue, but that the government would do what it could. Global markets mixed today after opening. The S&P 500 fell 12%. Its worst daily decline since 1987. China's economy may have shrunk in the first quarter for the first time since 1976, an ominous sign for the rest of the world. In the $87 trillion global economy, one person's spending is another's income. Simple idea explains the threat posed by the pandemic, one senior economics correspondent wrote. And a closer look as well, the reporters from the New York Times examined how forced closures are affecting the restaurant industry in New York and Paris. We've already talked about how it's not just in New York and Paris, but here locally. In fact, saw some social media posts about how are the service industry workers going to be taken care of. If these restaurants go to delivery only, which many of them are now for the time being, how are these workers going to be taken care of that aren't there to serve tables? I was hearing reports out of Las Vegas, all the casinos and major hotels there shutting down, closing. In fact, someone that my fiance knew saying that her friends that worked there actually got fired or laid off due to the coronavirus pandemic that is going on. Well, voting is still going to be going on. Democratic presidential race moves to Arizona, Florida, and Illinois today. The first primaries to be held amid the heightened restrictions for the coronavirus. Ohio also scheduled to vote today, but its Governor Mike DeWine said on Monday that he and state officials would ignore a court ruling and postpone the primary by declaring a public health emergency. So those are kind of your latest updates here, again, from around the country. We will keep you updated. Keep your eyes on the markets. Again, friends, just look, man, I've already told you guys, this is another test. It's another battle for our country that we're just going to have to get through and work through. We've seen it before with national tragedies, unfortunately. We've seen it before with illness before, including the flu and a swine flu. And that's another thing that I've been seeing, circulating on social media is that, oh, well, this isn't as bad as, what we faced with the swine flu and those kind of things. And I told you earlier when I came onto the show and talking about a few things, that I would talk about this a little bit. When all this started, I was not that concerned about it. But the more that I've researched and read things, this illness does have, and I'm not spreading fear, I'm just stating facts. And of course, it's affecting those that are most vulnerable more so than the healthy. But the facts are that this virus has almost a 3% mortality rate. Now, if you go back and look at things such as the flu, you're talking about a 0.2% mortality rate. Okay, friends? So just think about that. 0.2 is basically, if you get to 1%, that is 5 times. So we're talking about a mortality rate that's in reality about, 15 times more fatal than the average flu. Now, if this was something that, and look, I know that there's going to be conspiracy theorists and all, but at the end of the day, I've been involved, in a lot of things in leadership positions, and I understand that while the public may think, and some of the public may think that there's things going on for political gain or that somebody engineered this, the facts are it's here, and how are we going to react, and what are we going to do? And I don't believe that this is something that was engineered. I don't think it's anything that was put out there for political gain. It just doesn't make sense. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, think what you want on it. The issue is, and the numbers speak for themselves, that this illness is about 15 times more fatal than the common flu. And those are just numbers. You can go to the CDC. And in fact, I encourage that instead of spreading information from others, go to cdc.gov. Right there on the website, there is a link right on the front of the website. I'll show it if you're on Facebook Live. If you're listening on the Hip Radio Network app, you're not going to see this. But on the CDC website, there is, right there, as clean as day, coronavirus disease 2019. You click on it and boom, there's everything that you need to know. And that is where you should be going for your information. The White House also releasing information talking about the 15 days to slow the spread. I think that there's a curve that everybody's talking about. This is what the president has said. And this is, friends, this is why I've changed my tone about just kind of being nonchalant and saying, oh, there's no big deal, continue as normal. When the government starts issuing things, and it's not in the best interest of the government to tell you to stay home, first and foremost. It's not, because they know that that's going to slow the growth and mess up the economy. And that's inevitable. That's going to happen. It's already happening. It's not in the best interest of the government to tell you to stay at home. But here's what they're saying. Listen and follow the directions. If you're on Facebook Live, you see it. If you're not, I'm going to read it to you anyways. Listen and follow the directions of your state and local authorities. That is first and foremost. Secondly, if you feel sick, stay home. Do not go to work. Contact your medical provider. A lot of services now offering telemedicine. I think that's awesome. It's great. It's a way to not be out in public, but contact your medical provider. By the way, if you don't have health insurance, which I know is scary for a lot of people, especially during a situation like this, there's a lot of new clinics out there now. One of them that I go to, not a sponsor on HRN, so I'm not going to promote them. If you want to know more about them, just comment, and I'll tell you who it is. But there is a provider here in Georgetown that you just pay a quarterly fee to, and you can go see them as much as you want. You can do telemedicine. They respond to you by text message through a secure HIPAA-compliant application on your phone. Really cool. I've used it a lot. Message me if you want more information about who that is, and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. If your children are sick, keep them at home. Do not send them to school. Schools here in Georgetown closed. The district shutting down everything through April the 4th, I believe, and then the campuses will reopen on April the 6th. So just stay up to date on the HRN Facebook page for more information on that. If someone in your household has tested positive for the coronavirus, keep the entire household at home. Do not go to work. Don't go to school. Contact your medical provider. If you're an older person, stay home and away from other people. My grandmother's 92 years old. Okay, look, I care about my grandmother dearly. And even though I don't exhibit any symptoms and I don't think I've been around anybody that's had this, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to be precautious, and I'm, keep up with my grandmother. If she needs things, I'll go deliver and help her out. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to go spend every day with my grandma right now. I don't think that I don't want to put her at risk. It's just not the smart decision at this particular time. And the reason the government's putting this out, friends, if you're a person with a serious underlying health condition that can put you at an increased risk, for example, a condition that impairs your lung or heart function or weakens your immune system, stay home and away from other people. More on this from the White House and the Centers for Disease Control, saying do your part to slow the spread of the virus. Even if you're young or otherwise healthy, you're at risk, and your activities can increase the risk for others. It's critical that you do your part to slow the spread of the virus. New York City mayor, this was funny. Well, not funny. It's kind of ridiculous. New York City mayor had put out a thing saying, hey, stay out of gyms, stay away from people. And then yesterday he was caught at the YMCA gym working out. And so social media is blasting and say, hey, man, you got to practice what you preach. Now, granted, they didn't close down those gyms until Monday night, but the thing was he was there Monday morning. But again, he was telling people don't be out, and then there he was at a gym. Worker engage in schooling from home whenever possible. If you work in a critical infrastructure industry as defined by the Department of Homeland Security, such as healthcare services and pharmaceutical and food supply, you have a special responsibility to maintain your normal work schedule. You and your employer should follow CDC guidance to protect your health at work. Friends, if you work in those industries and you're concerned, talk to your boss and say, what are we doing to implement things to keep me safe? I think that there's nothing wrong with you saying that. Make sure that if you're in an industry where you have to be at work, that you ask your boss, if they haven't already told, I'm sure they have, every corporation has sent out 1 million emails, but ask them, what are we implementing to be safe? If you work for an industry that hasn't told you that, they're a little bit behind the curve. You need to talk to them. Avoid social gatherings in groups of more than 10 people. Avoid eating or drinking at bars, restaurants, and food courts. Use the drive-through, pickup, or delivery options. Avoid discretionary travel, shopping, trips, and social visits. Do not visit nursing homes or retirement homes, long-term care facilities, unless to provide critical assistance. My father is in a nursing home in Temple. We were able to see him last week as he came over to my sister's, as her family-in-law was in town. But now, we can't go to the nursing home to see our dad. They've got that locked down. I'm not going to, you know what? It's not the smart decision right now. Practice good hygiene. The final statement here from the CDC as well as the White House. Wash your hands, especially after touching any frequently used item or surface. Avoid touching your face. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow, and disinfect frequently used items and surfaces as much as possible. You've already heard all of this, guys. I just wanted to reiterate this morning, kind of what you should be doing, and hopefully, that'll come across. And I think the more we talk about it, the more it is. Look, I'm not going to spread fear like everybody else. This is a situation that we need to be concerned about. Okay, I'm going to talk about it because it's important. And it's, everybody else in the world is talking about it. But my biggest takeaways from it are be mindful of other folks. I was up at Gerald yesterday. I went to the Brookshire Brothers in Gerald, and I like what they did. They had signs posted that we're not going to allow you to take more than 2 of these items. Now, look, as someone who typically leans conservative and, I start thinking about issues that some people, you start thinking, man, that's kind of socialism and this and that. Look, this is a situation that's not a political issue at all, in my opinion, as far as what grocery stores are doing. They're saying limit to 2 items because, look, now if you're a family, that's a different situation. But if you've got, 3 kids, then the 2 items would suffice. You don't need more than 12 rolls of toilet paper at once. I don't know how that started. It's just like the gas issue that we saw last year, where the hurricanes that affected the Gulf of Mexico, and then all of a sudden everybody was panicking over gas, and social media fueled that. Okay? Social media fueled that. Do your part this morning, friends. If you've done it already, don't do it anymore. Do your part this morning of not spreading images that show things being gone, because it is fanning the flames and causing more panic. Simple as that. Don't do it. I've refused to do it, and as I said earlier on this show, and for those of you just joining us, you know that I live on social media. But man, don't do it. A lot of churches now not holding services in public. Of course, now that gathering and the president making recommendations not more than 10 people, churches also now holding services online. Someone had posted that it's hypocritical of the church not to, hold services in public. I think we're at a point now that we need to really listen to the CDC and our government. And again, I know you're thinking, man, this guy's typically conservative. What's he talking about? I'm talking about the greater good. We've got to look out for other folks in this time. We've really got to think about the next person. And we're going to get through this. Just give it a couple of months, just like everything else. but just take precaution. And I think one thing, friends, is that we're going to come out of this stronger than ever. I know that's cliche to say that, but I think we're going to be more mindful, and hopefully it'll be for the long term. I know after a national emergency or national tragedy, it seems like things only hold together for so long, and then we tend to forget. It's just like those of us that are Christians, and some of you watching, you may not be, and that's okay, but I'm just saying for those of us that are, it's like we only pray when things are bad, or we only really pray when we're in need. And I think as a Christian, this is a wake-up call that we need to pray always. It's woke me up to think about that we need to pray not only in the bad, but even in the good. We need to be thankful and grateful and have that gratitude that I've talked about so many times here on this morning show. Most importantly, right now, this is an opportunity for you and your kids. Of course, if you've got kids, they're not in school. I know it's going to be hard. We'll hear more about that at the press release today at the courthouse at 11 a.m. We'll try to stream that live. If not, we'll definitely get the audio, and I'm sure there'll be media releasing things. What are you going to do with this time? Ask if you're on Facebook Live. We got a lot of folks joining us on Facebook Live. I'll say hello to all. We went through some of them earlier. Reagan Grimes, good morning to you. David Cody, hope you're doing okay this morning, David. Tim Canizo joining us. Thank you, Tim. Good morning to you, Sabrina. Joni Collins joining us. Lee Ortiz, talked about Lee earlier. Stephanie Dillard in Bryan, Texas. Good morning to you. George Foreman. Javier Pineda. Javier, what's up, my man? Brenda Wilburn. Michael Price. Man, I just really met Michael just a few days ago. Michael, thanks for joining us, man. Sherry Cherry Lee. And Ann Malo joining us. Dean Grand, good morning to you, Dean. Jason Worth. Juan Carrillo Sr., good morning to you, Juan. Cliff Tangdahall joining us. Danny Tucker, Debbie Furtado. Cammie Reynolds saying good morning. Good morning to you, Cammie. Jason Alamo. Good morning to you, Jason. Hope all's all going well, man. Bubba Vidier joining us as well. Bobby Stonsonberger in San Antonio, Texas joining us. Tanil Amon, good morning to you. Cody Hurt, good morning, Cody. Was over at your place just a couple of nights ago, man. Cody, if you're still listening, I mean, how is this going to affect you guys? I want to hear from the businesses in this community. Cody has Mesquite Creek, and I'm concerned for those businesses. And if you're still listening, Cody, or anybody that's in that industry, feel free to comment on Facebook. What can we do to help you? What can we do to help you? Julie Damon joining us. Good morning to you, Julie. We had Julie on the show just a couple of days ago. Wally Harmon over at APD. Good morning to you. Chris Damon joining us. Adam Brinley, Julie Crooks, Les Best, Sherry Sally, Coach Syvertson, Braden Dickerson, and Rusty Justice. Good morning to you, Rusty. Hope all's going well, my man. If you're on the Facebook live stream, feel free to comment. How is this affecting you this morning, and what can we do to help? We're in this together, friends. You know, don't just ask people what you can do to help. I'm going to be very clear and very intentional. I talked on the show a few days ago about being intentional, and this is something that I'm going to be extremely intentional about right now, and I want you to hear this. I really want you to hear this, right now is what do you need help with? And when you ask people what do you need help with, truly don't just ask what do you need help with. I mean, help people. Because it's so easy for us to ask, what do you need help with? What do you need help with? And then we don't help people. I mean, seriously, friends, ask people this morning. When you ask them what do they need help with, put that into action in some way. I want you to do that. Again, coming up around 9:30, 10 a.m. this morning, John Montgomery and I are going to put out a video asking what we can do to help out the community. We're starting a little bit of a movement here in Georgetown to help out folks, especially the elderly population. What can we do to help you this morning? And we'll put that into action. Time now, 8:58. We'll quickly look at some local news here in Georgetown, Texas. These articles coming from the Williamson County Sun, the area taking precaution against the virus. Article by Catherine Anthony. Worldwide coronavirus outbreak gotten the attention of folks here in Williamson County. The desire for normalcy, balanced with caution, a lot of disinfecting, dominated local decision-making around the area this week. After consulting with local health officials on Thursday, officials said the district would maintain its spring break schedule. This information now older because they put out a release yesterday that the schools would not open again until April the 6th. Sun City, there's some burglars. There's been burglaries going on. Georgetown Police Department investigating a series of Sun City burglaries. This by Brad Stutzman of the Williamson County Sun. Authorities saying 5 homes were hit between 8 and 10 p.m. Friday, March the 6th. Police said that there were several similarities among the 5 break-ins, including entry and exit methods, as well as what was stolen. Suspects entered through the back and primarily took jewelry, police department news release stated. So if you're in Sun City, be careful. For more news and information, we'll have the candidate forums online talking about district races as well as the mayoral races here in Williamson County. We'll have all that online and more. So make sure that you keep it tuned in right here to HRN Georgetown, Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station. Download the app if you haven't already, and we will keep you up to date with everything that's going on here in Georgetown and the local community. Well, friends, for now, that'll do it here on HRN Georgetown, your hometown station. I'm Rob Hipp. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Good Morning Georgetown. Hoping that all of you have a wonderful and blessed day, and reminding you today to help out your fellow neighbor. I say this in every broadcast, and it means more now than ever that, friends, we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there today needs you. Good morning, Georgetown, and God bless. Get the app. If you don't have it, you'll hear music, you'll hear news, you'll hear events and weather and more throughout the community. Hip Radio Network. Georgetown, it's your hometown station, KHGT DB. Good morning, Georgetown. We'll catch you next time. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.